This is the Paltalk News Network.
The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not. No retribution. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show, and I remind you to go to the Paltalk News Network site, paltalknewsnetwork.com, early and often every day, just like voting in Chicago, to see what's new. Information that you may or may not see, hear, or read in the mainstream media. A couple of great stories there. We're going to talk about all of these today. Secretary of State Clinton is in Qatar. Used to be known as Qatar, but now we pronounce it Qatar. Maybe somebody should have asked the people of Qatar or Qatar how they pronounced it before we pronounced it incorrectly and had to change it, but I digress. She says that the United States is concerned that Iran is moving toward a military dictatorship and that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is getting stronger and stronger every day. That's why the Treasury Department last week initiated new economic sanctions that were directed specifically at Iranian National Guard leaders, a story that we did have on the Paltalk News Network. Evan Bayh, the Democrat of Indiana, who is a moderate, middle-of-the-roader kind of fella, is retiring. He will not be seeking re-election. That gives the GOP yet another opportunity to take another seat in the U.S. Senate. And very interestingly, the guy who is the standard bearer for the Republican nomination for President of the United States, John McCain, is being challenged in Arizona by a very conservative former congressman who is a very conservative, as I said, radio talk show host. Interesting. The British professor whose research on climate change sparked the global movement to reduce carbon emissions, a guy by the name of Phil Jones, says that there may have been no significant rise in temperature over the past 15 years. That may just be a blip, he says. The problem is he can no longer find his notes that support the data that supports the research that he released, which caused for the nations of the world to push the panic button and fight global warming because he says he's a very disorganized individual. So it once again draws into question all of what is being done, all the concerns about climate change and about cap and trade and stuff like that. To me, as I've said many times, we should be reducing our carbon emissions regardless, if for no other reason, so that the air that we breathe is healthier. And it's a goal that we all should seek, and this should not be politicized by either the global warming cartel or the anti-global warming cartel. Okay, you're going to find this very interesting. There's a lot of duking out on this President's Day between the various vice presidents, the current, the past, and the woman who wanted to be vice president. This one really shocked me. The headline on the PaltalkNewsNetwork.com site says, Cheney supports Obama's Afghan offensive. What? The critic-in-chief of the United States of America, Dick Cheney, the former vice president of the United States, Mr. Grumpy himself. These people don't know what they're doing. We do what we were doing. That guy actually saying that the president of the United States is actually doing something right. Boaz, say it isn't so. Please roll the tape.
What the administration will say is look at what they have done. 30,000 additional troops to Afghanistan, doubling, tripling, or maybe even more the drone attacks on the tribal areas in Pakistan on al-Qaeda targets. They say that they are actually dedicating more resources to the fight against al-Qaeda than you were.
Well, I'm a complete supporter of what they're doing in Afghanistan. I think the president made the right decision to send troops into Afghanistan. I thought it took him a while to get there. Having Stan McChrystal now in charge in Afghanistan, I think it's an excellent choice. General McChrystal's one of the most able officers I know. I'm glad they're doing what they're doing in Afghanistan. I'm not a critic of what they're doing in terms of how they're dealing with that situation.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was courtesy of ABC this week. Listen, one of two things is going on here. Either something is absolutely great, the stars, the moon, the sun are aligned perfectly, and the universe is in harmony, or there's a terrible disturbance in the force right now. I can't decide which it is. Wait, that's not all. Let's not just look at what he is saying about this. Sara Palin, remember, she wanted to be vice president of the United States, Republican. Sara Palin says that if this president, Barack Obama, attacks Iran, he will save his presidency. And Dick Cheney, the very man who when he was vice president, warned Ahmadinejad, hey, we've got destroyers in place in the Persian Gulf with cruise missiles, and we can wipe your butts right off the map, just like that. Says she's crazy, she's wrong, she should shut up. That's right, Cheney taking on Palin. Wait, I'm not through. Don't think that Cheney went entirely soft. Cheney and Biden have been duking it out because Cheney is saying this administration has no idea what it inherited in terms of the threat of terrorism here in the United States of America. They're taking it way too lightly, and Biden is saying, listen, old man, you don't know what you're talking about. You're retired. Shut your mouth. So they've been going at it. And that's not all. Biden has attacked Bloomberg, Mike Bloomberg, the mayor of New York City. Well, I don't know. Is he really a Democrat? He keeps changing parties. I think he's an independent now. But he's attacking him nonetheless because he claims that the mayor of New York City has inflated the amount of money that will be necessary to protect this city should there be a terrorist trial in Lower Manhattan. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you can't make this stuff up. I cannot figure out what's going on. You can't tell the players any longer without a scorecard because they keep switching teams right in front of your very eyes, or they fight their own team members. Very interesting. Jim in Michigan. Jim, welcome to News Talk Online on the Paltalk News Network.
Well, thank you, Gary. Always interesting comments from you and always good updates of what's going on in many directions.